Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have prepared 3 brand new stories. Our first will tell us about a search and rescue worker who punished his HR. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Corporate HR tries to flex, almost gets arrested by the county sheriff. So at the time of this story, I'd been working in search and rescue for the county sheriff for several years, having been certified by the federal government as an emergency services manager. My plant manager was very happy to let me go whenever there was an emergency that required my assistance, as I was a 10-year employee and a hard worker. Then my plant manager goes on vacation. I received a page declaring a local emergency due to flooding. This is truly a life and death emergency. I contact the plant HR and tell her I'm leaving, not knowing the head of corporate HR is there and has the phone on speaker. Corporate HR proceeds to tell me if I leave, it's job abandonment and I will be fired. I'm actually in the plant that day only to assist in epoxying the floor. The plant is shut down for Christmas. I explain it's an emergency and the plant manager has always released me for emergencies requiring my presence. She stands firm, so I contact the search and rescue manager, who promptly says it'll be handled ASAP. Within minutes, I'm called to the front office where the sheriff is on speakerphone. When the corporate HR lets him know I'm present, he then states if anyone interferes with my going to save lives, they will be arrested. He tells them he'll be faxing them the relevant state law as well as a letter explaining my duties within search and rescue and a glowing review of my service with the sheriff's department. He explains that these will go in my personnel file. Corporate HR may have a degree, but apparently no common sense. She starts to tell him, well, in Denver. Sheriff cuts in to tell her we are not in Colorado, but she can take a vacation in county jail if she wishes. Needless to say, I was quickly out doing search and rescue duties. That was 10 years ago, but the corporate HR manager still shoots me dirty looks whenever she visits the plant. I just laugh. And our second story. Accuse my salesperson of forgery? Awesome, your service is canceled. I used to be a sales manager for a B2B services company. We provide service to businesses. Unlike a lot of companies, we would not auto-renew a client's service unless they signed a new contract. The contracts were generally for 1 to 3 years. All our contracts were signed on an iPad that recorded the GPS coordinates of where the document was signed, and we emailed the client a copy of the agreement instantly. And in the email, we basically said, if you disagree with this contract or would like to make changes, contact us within 5 business days. If you don't, we'll move forward and bill accordingly. In addition, one of the cancellation terms in the contract was dishonesty. If the client could prove we were dishonest, they had the right to cancel without penalty. If the client acted dishonestly, we had the right to cancel their contract with us. There was a client that was actually quite a small account, but always proved to cause a lot of headache for my reps. I remember calling the rep and going over the common issues I've seen with this client, and I stressed, get the signature on the iPad in his office. I also stressed that if the client wanted to cancel, let him cancel because he's been proven to be very difficult to work with. Salesman went to the sales call, signature was signed, client service was executed according to the terms of the contract. 4 months later, I get an email from a customer service rep. The client is claiming that my salesman forged the client's signature. I did my due diligence before calling the client. I checked where the newest contract was signed. It was signed in the client's place of business via the iPad. I compared the signature on the newest contract to the many signatures on the numerous contracts we had on file with the same signer. From the client, they were all very close. I also looked at the email that we went to the client right after the contract was signed. The client opened the link to see his contract 65 minutes after the contract was signed and did nothing. Also, the link was open for several minutes. I looked up the client's current billing address. He was 45 days behind. He knew we didn't start charging late fees until 60 days behind, and at 120 days, we'd begin litigation/collection account status. I called up the client, and this is how the call went. Me. Hello, this is Luther from ABC. I was told you're accusing my sales rep of forging your signature on the renewal. Client. Yes, I never agreed to pay that much. I never would have. I told you to give me a discount, and I wanted to see it in writing before I signed. Me. And did he give you a discount and show it to you in writing? Client. No, he said he had to go talk to his boss, and I never heard back from him. Me. Okay, then what happened? Client. Well, y'all kept up the service, and I noticed on my billing it hadn't gone down, but up in cost. And I looked back at my emails and saw the sales rep forge my signature, and that's illegal. Me. Yes, you're right. If the salesperson did forge your signature, that is illegal. Client. Well, good to see that we agree on that. Me. After the contract was signed, regardless if the signature was forged or not, you would have gotten an email with a link to the contract asking you to verify that everything is correct. And if it's not, to let us know within 5 business days. Did you get that email? If you did get the email, did you review the contract? Client. Well, yes, but I was pretty busy and didn't open the email until recently. Me. I totally get it. We're busy nowadays, so assuming he did forge the signature, what would you consider an acceptable resolution to this? Would you want to end the service with no penalty? Would you like a discount? Client. I would want a discount. Me. And what would you consider an acceptable discount? Client. 3 months of free service. Me. Got it. Well, Mr. Client, I've got several problems with your claim that my sales rep forged your signature, and before I fire the salesperson for forgery and offer you a discount, I'd like to see if we can address those problems. Client. Sounds fair? Me. The signature was captured on our iPads, which records the GPS coordinates of where the signature happened. Per the GPS coordinates, it happened inside your place of business. Client. Well, he knows that, right? Me. Yes, he did. Client. That just means he forged it inside my building. Me. Okay. Well, the next issue is that the signature on the renewal contract looks exactly like the previous contracts. Client. He just copied my signature. I know I didn't sign that. Me. Could it be possible someone else in your company signed it? Client. No, everyone here knows I'm the only one that gets to sign those contracts. Me. I understand. The next issue I have with your claim is that the link to the contract that was emailed to you was opened 65 minutes after the contract was signed. Client. No, it wasn't. Me. Yes, sir, it was. The reason why we have you click a link to view the signed contract is so we know if you opened the link or not. Not only that, it appears like the link was open for several minutes, which to me would indicate that the person who opened the link reviewed the contract. Also, the fact that no one ever responded to the email would indicate to me that the person who reviewed the contract was fine. Client. Are you accusing me of lying? Me. Yes. And because of that, I will be canceling your service with us effective immediately. How would you like to pay your current balance? Client. You're canceling my service and want me to pay? Me. Yes, I want you to pay for the services we provided. Client. I'm not going to pay. Me. If you're not going to pay for the services we provided, I'm going to refer you to our collections department, and they'll add late fees, and if you don't pay them, they'll refer you to our law firm for litigation. Client. We have a contract. You can't just cancel my service. Me. Actually, I can. Since I have good reason to believe you're lying about the accusation that my salesperson forged your signature, everything I have says you signed it. Our contract states that we cancel your contract for being dishonest, and that's what we're going to do. Client. F you! And they hang up. I referred the client to collections. He eventually paid them without us having to sue him. Honestly, we probably would have just sold his debt to a collection agency due to the dollar amount not being high enough to be worth it to sue. And our last story. Landlord made me live in squalor. Now she's bankrupt. So here's the story of my previous living situation, which was at best horrendous. I moved into what I thought at the time, lovely 3-4 bedroom house with a nice offset garage and garden, perfect for my family consisting of myself, my partner, and my 3 kids. Well, a few weeks into moving in, the problems started to arise. We moved in just before Christmas, and the weather was awful, torrential rain in fact, which is when we discovered the horrendous leak in my roof. I mean water teeming through the roof, into the walls, and down my windows, resulting in all my pots and pans having to sit in my window and collect said rain. We then ended up realizing we had a leak through the roof in my daughter's room after she was awoken by rain dripping on her while she slept. She was 2 at the time. We discovered over the course of time we lived there that the electrics had never been checked and often shorted out. The gas pipes were under regulated minimum gauge, and when the heat was on, we couldn't power the gas cooker or vice versa. The decking out the back was rotten, and when we stood on it, just snapped. There was a 4-foot drop underneath this. A gas safety check showed that the Comey boiler was broken and condemned, but they still refused to replace it. The heating system could never be switched off, even in the summer. All of these were reported and promised to be fixed. Over time, the patio door hinge, which was snapped completely, fell off, and we couldn't close it properly or lock it, reported, and we were told it would be fixed. Waited months, and even though I was still paying full rent, it never got fixed. I eventually got fed up and reported it to the local environmental health team. They came out to inspect the property and raised concerns over the kitchen floor, which was warped and a major trip hazard. We also discovered from this visit the fourth bedroom, which was in the loft, was illegal due to how it had been done. No insulation, no heating, bodged electronics. So the local environmental health team handed an order over to the landlord to repair all these in a 3-month period. It didn't get done. The council took the landlord to court for breach, and she ended up having to pay fines and was given another 6 weeks to rectify. A few of the jobs got sorted out when I found my new house to move into. 2 years later, I've just found out through a close friend that the council proceeded to complete the jobs themselves, and the landlord now has been declared bankrupt due to this. Her house is being put up for auction. She'll receive nowhere near what she needs to pay off her debts and has had to give up her other houses due to bankruptcy laws, meaning she can't own equity, not even a decent car. If only she'd put the rent I was paying into fixing her house, it wouldn't have gone this far. I'm not sure what's happened regarding the illegal goings-on, the gas and electrical problems that were never properly upkept, but I like to hope that she got punished in some way or form. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.